Hello everyone, it's Cecily. So I absolutely love this client. She lets me do whatever. I mean, we get to explore all of our dreams and visions for life. So we went from that beautiful red to this purple. And then she said, oh, I want something different. So we did this golden honey, and that was super fun. And so now coming up to the fall months, she's wanting something more copper. And actually, we had let her roots grow out quite a bit. So today we're going to achieve this look. So she's been wearing a half wig and giving her hair a break. And so we're going to take these braids out, these old braids, and you can see her golden honey is still holding on, but she does have about a good 2 inches of new growth that we've just been going in and touching up with a level 3, like darkest brown, just to cover the gray. So we've been doing that and it's been working, but she's like, hey, it's the fall, I want something new. And so instead of me just like throwing a toner in over the pre-existing color, which I could and it would be pretty, I wanted to go ahead and soften up some of those inches, that 2 inches that you see that's just black and then it goes into that golden honey. I wanted to soften that up first with some highlights and then go in with the toner and give her that copper that she's looking for the fall, because we are entering into the fall season. So here I'm going in and I'm sectioning off that top section, and then in the back I'm just going to put away what I'm not going to be coloring. If you notice, I am going to separate those 2 side flaps so that I can put some color on those, because she does gray pretty good in her front. So I am going to put some darkest brown on that permanent, and then the top section will highlight. Okay, so let's talk about these foils. So I got these foils from the dollar store, and it's for food, but I cut them into 3 sections and I separate them, and they are perfect for highlights. Okay, perfect. And they were only $1. So I was talking away about those foils, but I did measure for my color. I do measure because if you get those ratios off, then it could affect your outcome. But for bleach or lightener, I do not measure. I like a certain consistency, so I continue to add developer until I feel like it's the consistency I want. Okay, so to start, I'm going to take this level 3 in and I'm going to apply it to those side pieces. And like I said, that's like a dark brown. And the color I like to use, the color line I use is actually Joico. I like their color line. It's great. So after I put those side pieces on, then I'm going to go through and foil. I did this on my phone, already sped up, and so I'm kind of sad because when I went to try to slow it down, it looked weird, and I thought I could do that and it would be okay, but it does not work like that. So I'll have to do another video where I show my foiling technique, but basically I'm just going in, highlighting, and then I am going in between I'm going to go after the fact in between with the 3N so that I can cover her gray while I'm lifting up that dark band that we had on her hair. So this is what we do while we're waiting on our client to process. Her daughter is sitting over on my massage table and she is cracking up at me, so that's who I'm looking at. As expected, everything turned out great. The color turned out beautiful. So now we want to go in with our toner. I'm taking her down a few levels to a level 6 natural copper blonde. And if you look here, it looks dark at the bowl, but it does dry light. So I went in with the Olaflex leave-in conditioner number 6, step 6. I really love this stuff. It acts as a heat protectant. It just does wonders for my clients with color. So I use that on her, and I actually use step 4 and 5 as well. I have the whole line really of the Olaflex, but as you can see here, I'm going in, I'm plaiting her hair, and I'm going to pop her under the dryer for about maybe 10 minutes. The reason I do that is because, have you ever blow dried somebody and you're blow drying for like 10 hours because their scalp is still wet? So in school, like 25 years ago, they told us that if the hair has to be 80% dry, that prevents breakage. But I also learned that if you pop them under the dryer with some plaits, that it'll dry that scalp for you. So all you have to do is go in and do a good blow dry on their hair. I used to have this assistant when I was in New York, and she would do plaits for me, and she didn't really understand the reasoning for it. So she would braid their hair in like a million little braids, and they would be super tight. So I was like, no, hun, the purpose of the plait is, one, it has to be super loose. You notice I don't go all the way to the ends because I can one-handedly take that braid out. It needs to be loose enough for air to get through. So don't braid it super tight and say, well, Cecily told me to plait it. No, just do a soft, loose braid. Don't even braid it all the way to the tips. Now, some clients I will braid to the tips if their hair is like 4C and it's so tight and you know that those ends are going to kink up because they're overdue for a trim or whatever. But like for her, her hair is pretty trained. She is natural, but it's trained, so I just left those ends free. Another question I get is about my blow dryer and my blow dryer brush. So the blow dryer is a Babeless Portofino. They do have more expensive ones, but this one works great for me. Rusk has one that's called Speed Freak, and it gets so hot it melts your brushes, it melts everything, and I'm sure it's doing damage to the hair. So I used to use that one, and I got rid of it, and this one is like a perfect blend. It gets really hot, but it's not anything crazy to where I know my client's hair will be damaged. The brush that I like to use is a paddle brush by Aveda. I have the mini and the size that you see in my hand, and I love them both. A friend of mine put me onto these. She's a stylist, and oh my gosh, life-changing, because I only use the Denman brushes, but the Denman brushes are super hard, and so until they got heated up by the dryer, it actually was scratching the scalp of my client. But these feel great. I've had this brush by Aveda for coming up on a year, and I love it. So I slowed it down to here so you could see that instead of me just doing like a block of bleach, you can see I went in with those highlights, and it has really softened up that dark patch, those roots that were super dark, 2 inches in. And if you'll notice, the ends will still be a solid color, but those roots will have a nice blend, and it's actually going to turn out really pretty. So I am such a nerd. I love Christmas. Christmas is like the bomb. It's my favorite holiday. So in the background, we have the Santa Claus playing. And it's funny because my client is super into it. She has been my client for years and years and years. And even when I moved away and came back, I mean, she was just right back with me. And she's been super faithful. So I love her. I always like to take really good care of my clients. Okay, so instead of just going in and just starting to flat iron, I like to section my front sections off away from everything else, and I start in the back. For me, the back, especially in that middle section, when I'm doing a true silk press, I mean, that person's hair is nice and coarse and thick. That middle is always the challenge, and so I always feel like if I can get that back section done, then I'm almost done. It's kind of how I used to time myself and work, quickly. So here I'm going in with my pressing comb, and I always like to hit that back, that kitchen. I like to get in the kitchen first, and then I work my way up from there. So I hit it with the pressing comb. I do a little swoop, and then I go back in from left to right, and I flat iron. One of the keys for, like, if you want a really, really flat press, then don't go out with your flat iron. Make sure you go straight down. If you do want some body or some lift, then you can go out with your flat iron when you're flat ironing. That's just a little tip for you. But if you don't, then you go straight down, and that's what you see I'm doing here. And so once I got the hair, then I'll just let it drop and I'll go as close to her back as possible. Another thing I wanted to mention is product usage. So I didn't use anything in her hair just yet. I am going to at the end, but I like to silk it out first and let the hair tell me what it needs. Sometimes if you go in with oils or creams before you do your press, one, it fills up the air with lots of smoke that's really unnecessary. And then two, a lot of times the hair doesn't need as much as you think it needs. So I have had clients where I would put some cream on beforehand, but I've just been doing this so long, I can tell, I can read the room. So I can tell if the hair needs it or doesn't. And her hair is shining without any added product. So I am going to put something on there for moisture at the very end, but not while I'm doing the silk press. So really quickly, I want to go over how I do my pressing comb. So if you notice, I'll grab the hair outward and then I'll put the teeth through and roll the back, pulling the hair out, teeth in, roll the back. Hair out, teeth in, roll the back. And if you notice, I'm using the hair as leverage. So I'm actually lifting that hair up against the pull of the pressing comb. And why do I do that? Because a lot of people think that the teeth of the comb is what makes the hair straight, and that's not true. The teeth are doing exactly what my comb is doing right here while I'm flat ironing. If you notice, I'll flat iron and then I'll put my comb right up underneath to pave the way. So I'm using that comb to pave the way, and that's really what the teeth on the pressing comb is for. It paves the way to make sure that everything that comes after is straight. I'm going to pull that hair out, and I'm pulling it out in taut, and she's got to give me some resistance. And I'm using it as leverage, as much pressure, so that the barrel of that pressing comb, the smooth part, is actually what's smoothing the hair, not the teeth. If you use a pressing comb and you don't bend it backwards like that, you'll notice it's not really doing a whole lot. It is hot, but it doesn't get it as silky and as straight as it would if you didn't bend it. You have to actually roll that back part, that smooth part, over the hair so that it will smooth the hair. So I hope that makes sense. And I hope that you guys try it and see. So I know I told you when you flat iron it, you go straight down, but it's the opposite with the pressing comb. You really have to pull that hair out in order for it. One, it'll burn the client's scalp if you try to press it against their head. You have to pull that hair out towards you so that you can really, really get that hair straight. And another thing is too, you don't want to take big sections. So you see I broke that one down a little smaller and I hit it again, because the bigger the section, the more that wave up underneath is going to get missed, and then you'll end up without that perfect silk press. Man, I'm just sitting here thinking about how earlier I talked about how the comb basically paves the way for the perfect silk press. And even how when you flat iron, how you have to follow up with that comb in order for it to pave the way to straighten that hair out as that heat is going through it. And I just think about how God does with us. We have to actually go through the process well. He doesn't just apply heat. He straightens us out as we go, and he's into the details. He cares about the details of our lives. And so I don't know, I was just kind of putting that together, how God does us. He doesn't just apply heat. Imagine if I was to grab somebody with 4C hair, super coily hair, and just start flat ironing with no tools, no comb. I'm just gonna flat iron your hair. It would probably look a mess. And I am a professional, and I would do my darndest to make it look good, but it probably wouldn't look good. And so I just love the fact that God, He cares about the details of our lives. He cares enough to straighten us out before just applying this heat to send us forth. Like a lot of people think, okay, God is going to use me, but no, He wants to get you right first, and then He'll put you out front. So yeah, that was my little takeaway from this silk press. So, unfortunately, after this section, I actually ran out of space to record on my phone. So, yeah, this is the end, and this is the end result. I think she's ready for fall. What you guys think? She's got her pumpkin spice latte going on in that hair. Oh my gosh, she's got it going on, and she knows it. She loves it. Oh, yeah.